Hey everyone, it's Sebastian. I'm back with another video for you today, and I've got a special guest here with me. It's Francesca Bianchi.
Hello. Good evening.
Finally, it's been so long we've seen each other.
It's so long I don't even remember last time we saw each other. But
Almost 2 years ago.
2 years ago, oh my God. But I remember very distinctly when you came the first time to visit me in Pitti in 2017 when I exhibited for the first time and
Yeah, I
you
remember.
interviewed me.
Yeah.
It was really fun.
Yeah, that was pretty early on with your perfume career, correct?
Well, that was my first exhibition, and that was I was releasing, presenting Under My Skin. So that was the first one after the first three that I released. But
Your
you know,
fourth.
so it was the fourth, but actually it was the most anxiety generating one because the first
Hmm.
three nobody knew me, so it was like, okay, let's try whatever happens. And then when I released Under My Skin, there were some people who knew me and some people who had expectations, so I was very anxious about that.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that was our first meeting in 2017, and now it's 2021, almost five. Is that 5 years? Is that 4 years?
Uh,
5 years.
for,
4 years?
5 years, yeah, it's 4 years. It's four
Four
years.
years ago. Wow. Time
Yeah,
flies.
yeah.
Well, today we're going to talk about three of Francesca Bianchi's latest fragrances. We've got Sticky Fingers right here.
Yep.
We've got Tyger Tyger right here. And then the new one, it's Luxe Calme Volupte. Is that how you say it?
Volupte. Volupte.
Volupte.
I regret I didn't put the accent on volupte because in French, when you use cap letters, you can avoid using accent, but nobody's pronouncing it correctly. So
Okay, I'm going to say Volupte.
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 Yes.
All right,
Volupte.
cool. Alrighty, guys, if you're curious to learn about these three fragrances, then please stay tuned. Thanks so much for tuning in. This is Sebastian with Smelling Great Fragrance Reviews. Yes, I have a special guest with me here, Francesca Bianchi, an indie perfumer from
Italian.
Netherlands, but by way of Italy, right?
Yes, I'm based in Amsterdam, but I come from Florence, so I'm
Oh,
Italian.
wow. Oh, cool. You are Florentine, huh?
Yeah, yeah. Well, actually, from the province of Florence, so to be really fair, and yeah, but I go back to Florence very, I'm very
Often,
glad
huh?
to go back. Yeah, yeah. Well,
We
I guess.
did once we had a conversation about Negronis, right? Isn't it famous?
Yes, yes. They used to be, now it closed, it shut down, but before C word,
Oh,
it shut down. I don't know why, but that was really the place to have a good, very good Negroni. Yes. Did,
darn it.
did you
Darn
had a
it.
good Negroni in Florence? I hope.
Many, many,
I miss that so
many.
much.
Yeah,
Here
me
in Amsterdam,
too.
you can't find a place for that, and you have to tell them how to do that. It's embarrassing.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
too bad. Well, either way, guys, we're going to be discussing these three fragrances from Francesca Bianchi. But before we get to the fragrances, if this is your first time tuning into the channel and you still haven't subscribed, please do click that subscribe button below and also click the bell icon so that you'll be notified for future videos and giveaways. So Francesca's here with me, and now she's selling at Lucky Scent also. This happened last year.
This happened last year, yes, and they're doing very well, of course. And,
Amazing.
but yeah, but Lucky Scent is one of the many. I have many other smaller or medium-sized resellers in US. I have a distributor who's managing that, and
Awesome.
Monet, Nicole Miller from Monet,
I know her. Yeah.
of course, and she's doing very, very well. And yeah, Lucky Scent was. Very good. It's a very good positioning for a brand. So I'm very, very,
Awesome.
yes.
Exciting. Yeah. So we're going to talk about Sticky Fingers first. My favorite out of the three. It's a great composition, and it features my favorite note in it. It's patchouli, of
Of
course.
course.
And I recently heard that somebody famous loves this fragrance as well.
Oh, yes. It was some kind of crazy news, really. I mean, I think she loves that one, Courtney Love, we are talking about, but ultimately she said that she's in love with Sex and the Sea.
Oh, well, she likes both of my favorites. That's
So,
cool.
it was a really fun and crazy. Like she contacted me via her agent or like a PR assistant, and they asked to smell some sample, and I sent them samples, and then she really loved many of the fragrances. So I mean, this is
That's amazing.
how it happened. Yes. Yeah, I mean, I was like almost shocked. I said, "Oh my God!" Now they are like sending me, the bill or something like that, because like normally celebrities they sponsor brands, but of course in exchange of money, and this is not what happened. It was a very generous and genuine sponsorship.
Okay, that's exciting news. That's
Yes.
exciting news. Yeah, but you know what? Before we talk about the fragrance Sticky Fingers, we did discuss Lucky Scent. You said there were some other retailers. Who are the other retailers?
Oh yeah, there are many. There are also small concept stores, or not necessarily perfume stores. Indigo is one of them, one perfume store. But people should look up in the website to find the one which is closer to their place. But there are also many which are, as I said, not necessarily regular perfume stores, but also concept stores or fashion stores, something like that.
Cool, awesome. Great. So, Sticky Fingers, how did you come up with a name for this one?
Oh, well, the name, one reason, of course, it's obvious, is the album. But before even thinking to the album, the idea I had in mind was you have sticky fingers, and they're sticky of chocolate or jam, and you have the temptation to lick your finger because it's so tempting, it's so yummy. So the idea was to create a perfume which was exactly tempting, and to me at that moment when I created this fragrance, patchouli was a material that I was very much intrigued by, and so I worked on a tempting patchouli which could evoke the 70s. So of course, like the context of the album, but also, yeah, so the 70s, but not just brutally the 70s, but also some kind of refinement in it. So the idea of the 70s, the patchouli, of course, which is like kind of symbol of the 70s, and leather jackets in a backstage of a rock band, but also iris that makes everything a little bit more, a little smoother, elegant, and then some much more ingredients are in it to make it the way I wanted it. In the dry down, you might also perceive leather and tobacco, even if it's not a really smoky, like literally smoky, but you have the tobacco leaves in it.
Oh, nice.
And,
nice.
Just out of curiosity, maybe patchouli has many different distillation grades. So you have the one which is like the patchouli brut, so it's the whole patchouli. I actually used the patchouli heart, which is a more fractionated patchouli.
Oh, wow.
You don't have all the very, very earthy, camphorous notes. I don't know if I said a correct word.
Camphoric?
Camphoric, maybe? Yes. I'll buy that.
Maybe it's camphorous, I don't know.
I have no clue. I mean, I don't even know how to say it in Italian. I have a mishmash of vocabulary in my brain because at the same time, I read English, French, and Italian books on perfumery. Anyhow, so I use that kind of patchouli. How do you perceive this fragrance?
It's not camphoric. It's more gourmandish to me.
Yeah, exactly. I forgot I wanted to get to this point. So to sticky fingers, because it's yummy in the end. So it has a gourmandish side, although it's not technically like a fragrance, but it has some kind of yumminess in it, which is tempting, which is makes you approach to the wearer, and and that's it.
This is very interesting. You mentioned you used the the heart, patchouli
Yes.
heart, you said?
Yes.
Because I think this is the kind of patchouli that I really, really prefer, because when you take out the camphoric parts, you do end up with kind of a chocolatey
Exactly.
smell. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah,
That's
the
what I like
chocolate,
about this.
you might have this impression of chocolate, which is not there because of the patchouli and the vanilla and probably some facets also of tobacco. So altogether, this gives the idea, the hologram of chocolate, although it's not there. But it's a correct detection, yeah.
Is there also benzoin in here? Did we have benzoin listed? I don't see that.
There could be benzoin. Now I don't remember the formula, but it has an ambery vibe, which makes me think that I might have used my own ambery base, which of course contain benzoin, labdanum, and vanilla. So it's integrated in it, embedded in it. Yeah.
But definitely for me, this one starts out with patchouli. It becomes a leather and iris, like you said. For me, it's more of an orris rather than like iris. It's very buttery. Is that true?
It's true. Yes, I always say very quickly. It's true that I always use orris butter. So it's not the iris, meaning the petals. It's more the orris butter. So it's actually different material. Although you use them together in order to create the iris, but in this case, it's orris butter. Yes.
Yeah, because I've noticed that iris can be very airy and kind of be powdery. And even though this has the powdery effect, but you have the butteriness at the same time. That's how I experience this fragrance.
No, absolutely. Yeah. It's a very correct observation.
Cool. It's very, very delicious. Yes, I really like this one. You've made a great job with this one. But you know what? I have to say, I do have your signature touch. And I recently did a video about DNA, and I mentioned you, and I said your fragrances.
Oh, yeah, I said. Sorry.
I said you have a DNA, and I can smell it throughout your fragrances. So.
Yeah, there are people saying that. It's I'm getting used to that, to this observation. I think it could be true. Yes, I think it depends on my recurring use of orris butter and animalic notes. I think these two elements are always in there. Actually, also sandalwood. I tend to use sandalwood. Maybe it's not like so impressive or like outstanding, but yeah, it's could be that also. Could be that.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, it's Tower Perfumes has a DNA called Towerod. What should we call your DNA?
Blanche. No, that's a brand name. No, I don't know.
We'll figure something. Cool. So how do you come up with this little graphic on each of your bottles, and also how did you come up with the shot of the buttocks of the woman with the? Is that? Yeah.
Now I have to make too many compliments on my own because it's on myself. I said so. This the small logo. I draw it. The lips, of course, the lips. It's an idea taken again from the album. Because you have the lips and the tongue. Of course, it's a tongue here. So I continued thinking on that, and in this case, it was the yumminess that I wanted to stress. So that it's just. You just lick your fingers here. And then, of course, there are many interpretations that people made, but we are not mentioning them here. And the visual, it's actually myself and my boyfriend David, that you also know. You know him, Pity. He took the picture, so he made the back of myself and the front. And
wow.
Of course, that's a major quote of the album. Although the album has a man and has kind of a section very
graphic.
Yeah, so I didn't want to make that kind of reference. It's different, but it's still the image is similar. So I wanted to declare or to pay homage to that.
Very cool. Yeah. Very cool. Yeah.
Thanks for mentioning that.
Yeah. That I notice things like that. That's what really, for me, fragrances are all visual. Like if I don't see good visuals, I'm not going to be drawn to, you know, see the fragrance or check out the fragrance. So it
That-
pulls you in.
That's
It's a
part,
good
that's
graphic.
part of it. That's part of it. Visual also, like the selection of a good name, it's part of the fragrance.
Yeah,
We can't say it's not. No.
true, true. Yeah. So let's talk about Tyger Tyger.
Yeah. Also in this case, I draw the visual, the tiger, so a part of tiger. And so Tyger Tyger, it has many different inspiration sources. So I had to start with the most crazy one, most probably, which is the one that was like I was obsessed with before deciding to to call it after a poem by William Blake. So before that, I had this idea of a Mad Max scenario. You know Mad Max, the movie?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
so a place or a situation, like a post-apocalyptic situation, where you still have remains of the previous very sophisticated civilization. So you have the clash, the contraposition between the remains of this fantastic civilization of the past and the darkness and like the destroyed world of the post-apocalyptic situation. And and I had here used for the first time tuberose. I use tuberose and also a base of different, like to enhance, to expand the tuberose. So white narcotic flowers. And yeah, and this is like the idea of a woman dressed like with a silk dress and arriving into a world destroyed and absolutely, you know, post-apocalyptic. And this part, the dark part, is in the base. So I used an oud base and smokiness, and I added the woodiness. So it's a perfume with a lot of contraposition. Of course, in the opening, you smell more this white narcotic flowers, the fruitiness in it. So
Yeah, lots of fruitiness.
the narcotic beauty, this mesmerizing beauty, and then in the dry down, you will have this more dark vibe with the oud and smokiness. Then while
it does get a little animalic too.
it's also, of course, Animalic. I used Castoreum, but also this oud base that I used. You know, to me, oud is very much Animalic, at least in the way I use it or in the way I like it. And while working on this fragrance, I ended up thinking to Tyger Tyger, the poem by William Blake, because the tiger also embodies this contraposition. So the mesmerizing beauty, this sublime beauty of this fantastic animal, which is so elegant, and the you know, the darkness of the animal, which is like the ferocity and the dangerousness of the animal, which makes it terrible, as contraposed to beauty. That's why I ended up with a tiger as a name. To me, it's also very daring. Although people says it's one of like very easy to wear. I didn't imagine it could have been perceived easy to wear. To me, white flowers are always very daring because I find
could be, yeah.
I find them narcotic. I find them, you know, not disturbing, but troubling, not something that soothes you or like makes you feel, you know, in peace. It's something that, you know, triggers you something. And, but I think maybe people in general is used to white flowers from designers brand. So
yeah, they do. Definitely.
So,
definitely. Yeah. I think it is an easier wear. Definitely. For me, it's ultra fruity. More fruits than white flowers, but eventually it reverses. And I'm also getting tropical tropical fruits instead of the peach. You mentioned peach, and it's kind of a sweet tart combo because the honey is very sweet, The peach, on the other hand, is a tart fruit. So I'm getting tartness there.
Okay.
But I'm also getting tropical fruits. So is it strictly?
You don't have a peach absolute in commerce. So you have, I used several molecules that conjure the idea of. And in my idea, it was peach, but there's also some other tropical facets to it.
Oh, okay.
There's not a real truth behind it. It's more like if you smell a little more tropical, you're right, because it's you smell it. But it's not that I'm saying, no, it cannot be like that, because I used, a peach absolute, because there's no such a thing as a peach absolute.
Okay.
Had to use several molecules in order to create this fruitiness. So
do you use osmanthus?
No, but now that you say that, it's an observation that makes sense. But I didn't. Osmanthus has a peachiness and a leatherness, so it could fit this or like
totally. Totally. It's your style.
Yeah, I don't even know why I haven't used osmanthus so far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, this is good. It's on the feminine side, but not necessarily overly feminine. I think the fruitiness kind of balances it out. What do you think?
My boyfriend uses it, and he's an IT guy, if you know what I mean. So
I've met him. Yeah.
So no. I mean, he really enjoys using it.
He does, huh? Mm-hmm. Do you think, somebody mentioned the other day, there's no such thing as skin chemistry. Do you think fragrances smell different on men? Like this particular fragrance, which I think is slightly feminine leaning, do you think a man would bring out more of the masculine sides of this perfume? Does that make sense to you?
I don't know. I think each smell, I believe in skin chemistry, meaning that I believe that on every person a perfume smells differently. I don't have the facts supporting this. I just have the experience, because if you go out with your fragrant lover friends and we we smell things and then we try on our skin, it always smells very different. I know, like my skin always suck all the sugarness, all the sweetness, and it's always more bitter than on other people. Things that really hate that. So that's why I always have to try fragrances while I'm working on creation on other people, not just because I need their opinion. Actually, I tend to avoid listening to opinions, but I really want a feedback on how it works on other people's skin, to calibrate that, because I can't just use my own skin as a test. Of course, I use paper, but on paper it smells more different.
Totally, yeah, different.
So very much so. So
do you prefer sweeter fragrances? Because you said fragrances turn bitter on you.
No, it's not that I prefer, but like sometimes they are. I just like a little bit of sweetness. It's not too much, but a little bit. But on me, it just disappears. So I'm a little bit disappointed. Yeah.
Because I bring out the sweetness with perfumes. I love gourmands. So this Tyger Tyger gets sweet on me. It definitely does.
Today it's also sweet. Maybe getting older, my hormones may change. So I have hope.
All right. So let's talk about your third fragrance, Luxe Calme Volupte.
Volupte.
So you have a new packaging too.
Yes. I'm very proud of the new packaging. If you open it, you can see you received it with a little label that you had to crack, and you have a unique.
Yes, I did.
Exactly. So you have a unique identification number, which is something that I put also for protection of against gray market, and then you can also take the black elements inside. So inside the box, you just throw that away. So if you're not a collector that needs the box to store the perfumes, you can still use that box for whatever you like. You put samples. I was thinking.
Well, that's great. I can still see your name on it.
Yeah, exactly. That's my name. Yeah.
Cool. So tell us about this one. It features a favorite underground note of mine, Galbanum. I love this note.
You really love. Oh, and to me, it was a very difficult one. The reason why I ended up working on Galbanum was because the beginning was such a difficult note for me. I didn't understand it, so I really started. But I'm talking about years ago. I mean, years, like 3 years ago, I started to work on a green one, on a green fragrance with aldehydes also, and galbanum, because I really wanted to discover how to use this material, and well, I ended up also getting inspiration from masterpieces of perfumery, and in this case, I think I studied many great perfumes, like starting from Envy Gucci, you know, the feminine Envy, which is unfortunately discontinued. It's a very sophisticated green one, or number 19 Chanel.
Love that.
Nice one. I have the Poudre version of that. I really love it. But is it called Poudre? Is the one with Iris Butler?
I have all 3 versions of it.
Okay.
Except the parfum that's in the tiny bottle.
Yeah, and so, well, and finally, I studied very much, and I think this is the fragrance that, you know, I borrowed more inspiration from, is Must de Cartier.
Oh, I love this one too. It's a sweet and bitter combo.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That thing there that you just said was the trigger behind this. So the position, the contraposition of a luxurious, opulent, sweet, ambery, decadent, whatever you like, base, and a contraposition with bittery, greenish elements. And this contraposition you have in vertically also, because in the opening, for instance, you have the sweetness of some tropical fruits. Now, I'm saying grape, pineapple. Some people, they get pineapple, other people don't. Whatever. I don't know if you get
mangoes.
Pineapple. Okay. I'll put it in the pyramid, mangoes. And so tropical vibe, again, because I use the different materials that are not necessarily a unique thing. They just give the tropical vibe. And so that sweetness, the galbanum, the green tangerine on the other side, creating this contraposition. So sweetness, luxurious and voluptuous sweetness, and a bit of bitterness. And in the dry down, you still have this, because you have, as I said before, this luxurious ambery base, but the bitterness is still there in a tiny amount. So I use the isobutylquinolein, which is a material that you might have heard in the history of perfumery, because many, like Germain Cellier, use it in, oh my God, Bandy, maybe? Sorry, I don't remember the name now. It will come. So it's a very important material, and here I use it like a 0 point something, like a very tiny amount, but it's still you know, just it's in contraposition to this very luxurious and decadent ambery base. Yeah.
So for me, let me tell you this: I do get tropical fruits. But I'm also getting honey. I'm getting honey. Is it the fruits making this kind of honeyed experience, or maybe it's the resin?
I'm thinking, because I don't remember the I mean, when I stop with the perfume, I'm like, okay, I don't want to think about that anymore. I don't think I used any honey or material like a honey replacer. I think, yeah, it smells of honey, generally speaking.
I like it. I like this one a lot, actually. I like that whole story and your inspiration of Must de Cartier, because I really love that fragrance. Yeah, I'm kind of a galbanum addict, but I don't. Yeah, I love the smell. It's an addicting smell, kind of like patchouli, but totally bitter. And I like the fusion of bitter and sweet, and that's what you've accomplished here. Exactly.
I'm glad that you like this.
This one also
a very challenging thing to achieve, but yeah. Sorry.
I have to say this one also is very polished.
Okay. Yes.
Meaning very refined. Very refined.
Yeah, I take it as a compliment. Thank you very much. But I also agree, meaning that I think I worked in a way that to make it less rough than my
Yeah, it's
previous.
not rough. You use the word. But no, it's great. This is a good one. I like it. I like it. Reminds me of honey. It reminds me of the tropics. And I have that contrast of that bitterness. It's a nice one. It's easy to wear. I like it.
Yeah, I think, you know, like style also evolves, although there's still like my idea, my vision, etc. If you compare this to the Lover's Tale, for instance, which has a lot of fan, so I don't want to do that.
That one's challenging for me.
That was very challenging. It is very challenging. There are people who don't find it challenging at all. They say, why people are saying it's challenging? To me, it's very smooth and soft. To me, it's challenging, but also at that time, I really wanted to make something challenging and kind of rough, as I said. I mean, you were too polite to say that, but so I kind of enjoyed this kind of roughness. I still enjoy a little bit of roughness, but here it's true that I really wanted to achieve this Luxe Calme Volupte atmosphere and content.
You got the right name for it.
Yeah. You know, it's taken from a poem by Baudelaire, L'Invitation au Voyage, and Luxe Calme Volupte is a recurring verse. There's also a painting by Matisse inspired by the same poem. I studied Matisse. I did a dissertation on Matisse. So, I mean, it's like, it's all connected to my own biography, let's say.
Amazing. One more thing I should say about this. It definitely has your DNA.
Okay. Thank you. I take it as
yeah. So let's see. We've discussed the 3 fragrances. Tell us what's in store for you for future. Is there a new fragrance coming out? Okay.
There's something. I mean, I will speak about this later with you, if you will. And there's a new brand coming out, but it's very much different from this brand, which carries my name. But I'm getting superstitious recently, so I really don't want to speak much further about it.
No, yeah, I respect that totally.
Thank you.
Totally. I appreciate you doing this video. So anybody in the USA can go to Lucky Scent and they can smell them and buy them from Lucky Scent. You sell on your own website as well, right?
So yes, I ship to US. I mean, actually, I offer free shipping to US if you buy a full bottle, because I have very good rates with FedEx. So I mean, it's I can afford that. Yeah, and but wherever you like, guys. I mean, the best thing. I mean, especially if you're a beginner or like you know, someone who has to discover the brand, I would recommend the Discovery Set, because Sebastian, I recommend. You agree that my fragrance, not all my fragrances are like Luxe Calme Volupte. Maybe it's a little bit easier, but my range is not really for beginners, and I would really recommend to try first, and then just give some time to the fragrances to grow on you, and that at the beginning they can be challenging, but sometimes you can just be in love with them and get used to a different kind of fragrance.
Yeah. So let me ask you one last question. So since you brought up the Discovery Set, what would you recommend if a man was first trying to figure out which fragrances are perfect for him from your brand versus a woman trying to figure out what fragrances are perfect? What should they check out?
Yeah. A beginner, let's say. So an early discoverer. So for a man, I would definitely recommend to start with Etruscan water, which has a citrusy opening. So I don't say it's more conventional, because there are many people who would totally disagree, but it reminds you of some big classic man cologne. Still, it has my DNA, as you rightly say. So it's like it's irisy and also kind of a dirty musk that I used in it. So it's not really the typical cologne, but it's easier to approach for a man than. Well, maybe the dark side. I don't think it's that daring.
I love that one.
I know.
Yeah.
So the dark side, it's actually unisex, but I mean, for someone who wants something a little bit more with character. And well, the last one, Sticky Fingers. Sorry, I forgot.
Yeah.
So it's also unisex. Sticky Fingers. Well, it's easy to approach. I would say.
Especially for a patchouli lover.
But just let me say, I don't mean that these ones are for men. Sticky Fingers is perfectly unisex. As well as dark side. Etruscan water, there are many women using it. It's a little bit more loved by men, that I have to say. Exactly like a Black Knight. Black Knight is also probably a more daring one with this very, leathery vetiver, very dark. It's much more for men than a woman, I would say. Then if I had to recommend to a woman, I would definitely start with Angel's Dust. So Angel's Dust is probably a very inspired by classic perfumery, so like a powdery, rosy, with a very decadent ambery base, let's say. So very easy to approach. It's very difficult that you say, oh, it's too daring. I find it very easy. Then I would say, well, Sex and the Cineroli. I don't say Sex and the Sea, although it's one of the best sellers, but Sex and the Cineroli has this fresh narcotic green opening with neroli. So it makes it one of the best seller. It sells better than Sex and the Sea, than the regular Sex and the Sea.
Okay.
And it's very much loved also by men, but like for a beginner woman, I would also recommend that one. And I would say maybe Luxe Calme Volupte. I find it again, it's unisex, but for a beginner woman, I could recommend that. Yeah.
Cool. All right. Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Do you have any last things you want to say before we wrap up?
Oh yes, just a little thing about you might you might know that I used to use civet and castoreum in my perfumes, so real civet and real castoreum. Last year I worked very hard in finding the right replacement, and the products that are now out there in the market are cruelty free, as far as civet and castoreum. So I have to say I still use beeswax, just for the sake of truth. So in a Black Knight and Lost in Heaven, you have a bit of beeswax, which makes it not vegan, but all the other ones are like cruelty free and vegan. Not that I'm vegan myself or like, but still I thought it was unnecessary to use animalic derived ingredients. It's like a little cruelty, although because it was like a little portion, a little percentage. I really find it unnecessary, and so I worked very hard because it was not easy to replace them in a way that the olfactory profile and the performance of the fragrance could stay the same.
Okay.
But now,
awesome.
I'm very happy about that. And thanks for giving me the opportunity to say that.
Oh, you're welcome. Absolutely. And I'm so happy we did this finally.
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, thanks so much for watching today's video with Francesca Bianchi discussing her 3 latest fragrances: Sticky Fingers, really, really good patchouli there, Tyger Tyger, this one right there, and then Luxe Calme Volupte right there. Anyway, if you have any questions or comments, please list below. Other than that, guys, thanks so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed, please do. Please like this video. Please share it. Follow me. and follow Francesca Bianchi. And I'll be back with more videos very soon. Have a good one. Goodbye.
Bye.